Here I am again with another Halo video. Now, you might be thinking, well, Herb's really turning into a Halo channel, isn't he? And while these videos are doing better than my other videos, quite substantially I might add, I'm gonna keep up with my other stuff. As much as I enjoy talking about Halo, I don't want to just be a Halo channel. That being said, I was pretty lazy this week and needed something to do, so here we go. Halo recently had a bunch of previews done by IGN, Game Informer, and various other very popular outlets. And these were very, very interesting, coming in with all sorts of gameplay and impressions, letting the press finally touch the game. And I'm going to go over a couple of these videos and my reactions to them. I'll start with the IGN one done by Miranda Sanchez. Very well done video, I might add. She goes over a bunch of different things. She played it on heroic, which was nice. Adds a kind of a sense of difficulty that isn't there on normal or easy. And yeah, let's just kind of jump right into this. Why don't we? First, I want to start off with this banished war table. We see here Escharum, Jaga Rodamni, and I believe Tremonius sitting around this table, probably talking about the chief. Seems like a great time. I love that Halo Infinite is really emphasizing the bosses this time around and giving them character and personality outside of the cutscenes that, lead into a boss fight. I hope that they build them up in a way that we haven't really seen a Halo villain built up since Halo 2. Speaking of those bosses, we see the boss fight again, and Miranda talks about how it was actually a pretty difficult fight and required a few tries. Now, I find it very interesting that the boss doesn't seem too bullet spongy, and it seems like the best way to take him out is to use the environment. This really emphasizes the sandbox. It actually encouraged me quite a bit. Let's talk about the general open world. It seems way more curated than I think anyone was really expecting. It doesn't seem like a checkmark Ubisoft open world. It seems more like, or as Ryan McCaffrey compared it, an Arkham game. Very dense, contained, structured, designed specifically so the player has a certain route they go, but can approach these routes in any way they want. There's progression like we talked about before, and it all seems to be very balanced, so as to not give the player too much power over the environment. We'll see how that plays out in the end game, but at least at the beginning you are limited. Now, there's also some really cool stuff in this overview. Master Chief looking out in the ring from the middle of space is one of the coolest images I've ever seen. We see Atriox's hologram. Hopefully he actually has dialogue talking about the Banished. Honestly, seeing Atriox makes me very happy because I was worried that he was going to be sidelined completely for Escharum, but we need to introduce to new players who the Banished leader is, and that's Atriox. Now, it seems that the world is separated into the different levels that you have to progress through before you get to the next one, and they're connected via bridges. Kind of reminds me once again of an Arkham game or something where your physical location is the reason you can't get to the next area. It's not level gating with higher tiered enemies, but it's actual map design informing the player of what they can and can't do. And that's something that I really appreciate. We see the audio logs again, and these seem like a really great way to hopefully give more information on what happened in lore in the universe. It's a new addition to Halo, really. I was worried about the forward operating bases letting you summon in all these weapons and vehicles with too much freedom, but it does seem that there's a progression system there to make sure you're not summoning in a tank right at the start of the game. Hopefully this is something that requires a little bit more playtime to kind of get anything way too useful, otherwise why would you pick up weapons from the ground? And from what Miranda said, is the world and side objectives seem completely optional. So if you'd like to just go through the golden path of the game and beat it in whatever amount of time that takes, it seems like something you can do. Or you can explore and find audio logs and upgrades and all this stuff that just makes the playthrough more fun and entertaining. This is something that's really comforting to hear as a Halo fan. It seems that this game lets you play it however you want, and that's something that is very encouraging. In terms of level design, the verticality looks fantastic. Jumping between different levels, using the grapple hook, it really does seem like they made it with that in mind, and they want players to kind of explore and discover things. The world design, the pieces of broken UNSC, immersing the player in this ring that has been through this prior conflict is really well done from what I can see so far. Also, blood splatter is back, and it does seem to be sticking to walls at least. I'd prefer it to kind of go on the ground and be a little bit more emphasized, but at least we, beggars can't be choosers. Speaking of the enemies, the animations look fantastic. These grunts spinning around, crawling for their lives, it's just really good stuff, and it seems very dynamic. One small complaint over here is when you grapple a grunt, it pulls you towards them, which I find kind of funny considering Chief actually weighs more than a grunt. I think it should work the other way around, it pulls the grunt towards you, but I digress, it's not that big of an issue. These boxes over here seem to be ammo crates, but not just any ammo crates. They seem to be specific types of ammo crates, thus encouraging you to use different weapons in different sections. I think that's a great way to kind of make areas more tuned to different weapon types and different playstyles. Very interesting. Also, a cool little thing I noticed here is Forerunner boxes, when they explode, shoot the projectiles sort of like the heat wave. And I think that's a really cool way of tying all the Forerunner weapons together. Another great thing here we see is the guns carrying over into the cutscenes. Chief was using this stalker rifle earlier, and now he has it in the cutscene. We haven't seen that since I believe Halo 2, so it's just really great to see. So that's the IGN vid, but we're going to go over a couple Game Informer vids as well, so you guys get 2 for 1. I just want to mention that the Elite designs look fantastic. This red Elite Major over here looking like a badass just really looks great, and it's such a step up from 4 and 5. I have an issue here with the sword though, it still looks too opaque. It looks like a PNG file, to be honest. It needs more flaring, more exposure. A cool thing we see here is there's lots of secrets and alternate routes, and this really emphasizes exploration. Going through banished camps can be done however you want. We see skirmishers make their return after being absent since Halo Reach, really nice to see. We also see this part here where Chief looks to the side and you can see space underneath the ring again, and it's so damn cool. Another cool thing I noticed over here is that different fusion coils have different effects. So this is a shock fusion coil. I assume that means there's fire and kinetic and different types of fusion coils. And I really, really like this. The sandbox has been really thought out and fleshed out in a way that I don't think we've ever really seen in a Halo game. And the last thing I want to touch on is Chief punching the button here like the Doomslayer. That's some Master Chief badassery that I hope we see more of. This game really is appealing to me, and honestly I feel way more excited about it than I did from the last overview. It's very encouraging, with even little things like Chief saying, "I need a weapon," just appealing to me as a Halo fan. And I know it's maybe a little pandering, but it's what I want. And yes, there's still problems I have with the permanent equipment that seems infinitely usable, but I'm hoping that the balance of the overall game structure makes it so those don't destroy enemy design the way Halo 5's abilities did. Overall, these impressions have left me pretty impressed, and while the graphics aren't amazing, the art direction is so good I don't really care. Here's hoping Halo has a good enough story to land this December, because my goodness, I'm actually starting to feel just a little bit hyped.